Hi guys, I'm going to do another Sketchbook or Autodesk Sketchbook tutorial for you. This time it's going to be based on doing or performing a design development. Now again, this will be beneficial to you if you're just using a pencil or a pen and a piece of paper. Um, it's just to show you how you could evolve your design to something better. When you think you've created something, that's fine, that'll do. I'll show you how to sort of move on from there to sort of try and make a design a little bit more aesthetic. So I am going to start by using a black pen again, and I've got my nib set to about 1.8, and that's in the puck, and I've set my color tone to black. And I could free sketch this, but again, I think I'm going to go to predictive stroke on my single layer over here on the right. And I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to use a chess piece as an example. So if I use the pawn, for example, I'm going to just level my page, make sure it's at 0 degrees. Yeah, that's fine. And I'm going to start to draw a pawn. So I'm going to draw it kind of freehand, but using the predictive stroke. And I'm going to do it on one layer for now, just to show you the kind of results you get. Actually, I'm going to switch over to my line tool, I think. Make sure I'm still zoomed in there. I'm just making sure that I'm still at 0 degrees. And because this is sketch work, I'm not worried too much about the accuracy of the drawing at the moment. So I'm going to just select now from my tools, my drawing tools, the oval shape, and I'm just going to put in a circle-ish shape on the top. And yeah, I'm going to leave it like that. Fine, that's absolutely fine. I'm just going to go in now and clean up my little bit. So in the left-hand toolbox, I've just selected my rubber, and I'm just going to zoom in using the pincer grip again. I don't want that line. See that line style was selected then, and it's rubbing out as a line, so I don't want that. So I'm going to switch that off again, and just go in and just tidy that edge up, that corner rather. Just using my eraser or rubber tool. And like I said, you can set this up to how you like the preferences to be, which is quite handy. Yeah, that's okay. Here's the top part. That little bit in there, that can go. Corners all right there, not so bad. Okay, and just into the circular part at the top, or the spherical part, what it's going to be. All right, okay. So I'm happy with that now as my my pawn. Now, I mean, all right, okay, great. You've drawn a design there. Is it as good as you get it? You get it? Probably not. So what I'm going to do now is on a new layer on my right-hand side, I'm just going to press the plus tool at the top. I have changed from eraser to a pen. And I'm just going to select my line tool from the top, and I'm going to draw a rough baseline. So I want all my drawings to be on that line, basically, going across, okay? It's easier just to do it now. You can line them all up later, but at least you've got a starting point. Okay, so I am now going to add another layer, and I'm going to start sketching something different. So now I'm going to think about, okay, I'm going to leave the base as it is for now, right? I'm going to use my line tool. I'll leave the base as it is now, but I can rotate now because I got that baseline. I don't have to worry about the angle so much. I know where my baseline is. So I'm going to draw a line on top of that line going across, about the same width as the other one. Doesn't really matter. Okay, so that's all right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a little trick what you can do. I'm just going to move that line up perfectly on that line. So it kind of disappears. You know it's still there. I'm going to switch off this layer, okay? Now, you can see there's a little eyeball in the top left-hand corner of that sort of icon. If I switch it, if I press it, it switches that line off. So the line is still there, but it's just disappeared, so I can't see it, which is fine, which is what I want to do. Now, the alternative to doing this, because I have got a rectangle down there, is rather than drawing these lines, okay, I could draw a rectangle. So I'm just going to delete that, or clear actually, because the layers stay there. Switch this back on. I go to my tools in the top and select rectangle. I'm going to just draw a rectangle like that. Fantastic. Drawing on the same layer. Just be careful, guys, okay? You're drawing on a different layer. So that's fine. So I'm going to move that up a little bit. Okay, done. Alright, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to duplicate that for my next one as well. So I'm just going to move that over. Just for that, it's fine. That's all right. Okay, so I'm going to put another layer on top of that now because I don't want to draw on that one just in case I muck it up. And this time, I'm going to curve, I think, these lines. Rather than having them like a straight sort of taper up, I'm going to draw one like this. Because I'm using my predictive stroke, it kind of guesses what you want. So that's not so bad. If I didn't put my predictive stroke on it, it would be a rough curve, I can tell you. You know, if I knock it off and try and draw a similar curve, it'll just be all over the shop. So my predictive stroke on, I'm just going to bring it up like that. It might take a couple of passes until you're happy with it. I'm just pressing undo every time. Yeah, do you know what? I'm going to rotate. So I'm curving out with my arm. Yeah, okay, we'll go with that one. That's better. Okay, so I'm just going to pop on top of a circle. Now I could be drawing this on different layers if you wanted to, right? It's completely up to you. I'm going to just make the circle a little bit smaller and try and get it looking like an actual circle. Would be handy. Okay, yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Right, so I'm going to go in with my rubber again now. I'm going to join top right now. Sorry, the right hand side at the top. I'm just going to merge it down, and I stepped it in now to the rectangle that I drew earlier. Coming in, see, so my circle tool. Just got to be careful to knock stuff off, toggle it on and off as you want it. Okay. Big eraser now to rub out that. That's great, lovely. Looks alright. Okay. So what we're seeing now is a sort of slight modification to the original design, which has made it a little bit more stylish, so to speak. I don't want that on. Okay. Now, you might think, oh, that's a bit tall, a bit slender. It looks a bit slender or what have you. Well, you can, because you've merged it all now. You can shrink the top down a little bit if you wanted to. Yeah, okay. There we go. All right. So there's my second one. Now you can see the design hasn't changed that much, but it looks different, and that's what you want, okay? Now, the next one, you might think, oh, do you know what? I don't like that curve so much. Maybe you'd want to do, so I'm just going to select this one and then add a layer to it on the right. Then it inserts the layer just above. This is easier to manage. So I'm going to go in this time now, and I'm going to do like a sort of, wait, I've got on my rubber, sorry, back on my pen. So a little curve, like a sort of S. And keep at until it's right. There we are, that's okay. I'll duplicate that now, because I'm on a separate layer, and I can move that across. Alright, and I'm just going to rotate it slightly, so we keep that taper getting thinner to the top, okay? You know, I'm going to move it up a little bit, just so I don't have to rub it out. Okay, move this one up a little bit. That's okay. Nice. Right, new layer, pop a circle in on top. This time I'm going to make the circle quite big, and I'm going to just off-center it. About there, actually. And what I'm going to do as well, I'm going to add another layer now. I'm going to pop another circle in. There. Alright, and I'll show you what I'm doing now. Okay, so I'm going to merge all those now because I'm happy with them. Alright, so make sure they're all together. There they go. Right, rubbers again now. Or eraser. In with that one. Away with that one. You might have to clean up the edges a bit better than I can do it. But you get used to it after a while. Okay, cool. That's good. Right, big rubber now to get rid of the majority of it. There we go, nice. So I've just cut a notch out of the top. Alright, just gives it a little bit of something different. Right, that's good. That's gone. Happy days. Right. Alright, so you can see again now, it's a little big compared to the rest, so I'm just going to bring it down to size and coming down to about there and shrink it in a little bit, and yeah, that's okay. Try and keep it on the baseline. You know, that's good. Happy with that. And moving across a little bit, give me space there. And the next one. You can see I need to rotate that a little bit to get it back on the baseline, but this is the thing with design work, that it's all in line, it looks really tidy. If it's not, then it looks a mess. Right, so the last one I'm going to do, I don't know, to be honest. I'm going to I'll put these in order for a start because that one's above that one. Right, so I'm going to put a new layer in. I'm going to pop a rectangle in, but this time I think I'm going to round the edges off. Put it in as a rubber now. That's no good. Pen. Okay, awesome. Let's pop that back on the baseline. Or there or thereabouts. I don't need this line anymore now. I'm just going to delete that layer. Right, they all look in line now anyway, which is alright. Okay, so what am I going to do now? I think I'm going to go for one straight line. And I'm going to off-center it. I'm going to put some curves in, like that. Now I'm going to put the top on. Fine. I need to start rubbing some. I need to merge all those now. Oh, you know what I've done? Look what I've done. Let's put it on the bottom layer. Look. What a mess. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate that layer. Alright, there's no point looking about. I'm going to show you a nifty trick now, right? So I want to keep, this is the top there, I want to keep the right hand side. So if I just move that to the left, done, press move again, it deletes the stuff that's over there. So I'll pop that there just to show you. Deletes the stuff that was on the other side. So this time I want to keep the left hand side. So I'm going to select this layer, pop that over there, so it's off the screen. Done, move it again, and it's gone. Now, it would have been handy if I kept my baseline, but it's not a problem. Right, okay. Now I've got those two separate layers. I'm going to move this layer up to the top. So there are ways around stuff, you know, problems. And you can play with this now. You want it forward, want it back. I think it's looks a bit better back there. All right, back in now with the rubber. I'm going to merge those together again. Back in with the rubber and just tidy this all up. Just taking out those lines carefully. Try not to go over too far. Try and keep the flow of the lines and make sure they're all connected still. Because if you do something like that, it's not gonna fill. All right, so you need to make sure actually that there's no gaps that we go around. Okay, that's good. That's okay. So, all right. So let's just take stock now of what we've done. Okay, we've made 4 different designs. It hasn't taken that long. They're all the same chess piece, but they have got different, definitely different styles to them. Okay. Now, when you're annotating these, you could turn around and you could say, well, look, okay, the first one, if you wanted to turn that on a centre lathe or wood lathe or whatever, that's going to be much easier to make than any of the rest. The second one, for example, you'd have to make that in a couple of parts, I think, unless you've got a 3D printer to make it. Same with the third example. The fourth one, you might be able to get away turning that and then putting the top on it afterwards, the circle on top afterwards. You'd have to turn it and then sort of sand away those ridges, these parts in here. They'd have to be sanded away. So there's lots to talk about when you're when you're talking about your development. You would be talking about, ease of manufacture, the aesthetics, materials you could use to make these. What would be easier to make it with? What would be more difficult to make it with? So the last thing I want to do now is I just want to show you briefly some different styles of rendering, really. So if you're going for plastic or 3D printer, I would generally just put a fill in using maybe the what do you call it? The gradient tool. All right. So if you pop that in like that, you can change this. You can change the colors then. So you select that middle circle and change the color to red. Okay. This one you can change that to a darker red, maybe not black, and then go into white. Okay, and you can put that in the top one, or in the middle one rather, and you can change the angle of it. Oh, wait there now. Okay, let's put that back in, I'll show you again. You can change this angle to travel up the taper itself, okay? Which just gives it that extra sort of 3-dimensional look. Maybe something like that actually, drifting up, alright? So the top one then is going to be a spherical one, which is this tool here in your fill. Go to red again, pop it in. Your light is coming from this direction, that's your shadow. So let's change that grey to the red again. Change that black to the mid-tone. You can put it away if you don't want that much shadow on it. If you want loads of shadow, you can. Or lots of highlight, you can move the highlight slightly onto the cylinder itself. It's up to you. Alright, that's done. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go in with a pen. What am I going to use? I think I am going to use a marker pen actually, what I've got selected here. I'm going to change the size of it quite low. I want it to be darker than that. And I'm just going to come in, it's a bit thick. I'm just going to drop the shadow in there. It's a bit lighter actually. So all right, and yeah, you can play around with that as much as you want, really. If you were going for something like a metal finish, so if you're going to use a layers, you're using grays, the grey scale. Make sure you've got the right item selected. You might want to. Why it's gone to those colours now again, I don't know, but anyway. Problem is this: you've got to get the fill right in the first place. If you don't go right, you're gonna have to go back and see, I've done it again. you have to go back. All right, now you need to ask yourself, is that right? Are you going to be happy with that or not? Well, it's up to you, really. I'm happy to leave that as it is. Just a little bit. I'm just going to put the spherical one on top. Why it's gone back to red, I don't know, but there we are. It's probably something I'm doing, not the application, I would have thought. Okay, now there we are. You've got sort of like a sort of aluminium finish or steel finish, whatever. It's up to you what you want to do with the next ones, really. I tell you what I will show you briefly is put in a sort of blend in. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna fill this one with the color I want. Let's go to blue. I'm gonna fill that in as a block fill. It's too dark. You're better off going light to dark on this. So it's just still too dark. I'm gonna go a little bit lighter. There we go. All right, stick with that. Right, now I showed you on the last tutorial about locking this layer here. Right, I'll show you the difference again. If it's unlocked, and I go to my spray paint, I just bring it down a little bit, and I want to put a bit of shadow in there. You can see that the paint is going all over the place, which is no good. If you press undo and you press the lock button on this, see the lock? Press it on, it will now only spray inside that area, okay? So you can be surprised with the colour change of this, right? How quickly and how dark it goes quickly, right? So be careful what you're using, right? And take your time. But one thing that does happen with this is that the edge disappears, the black edge, which is unfortunate really, but it makes it more sort of realistic in some terms, because if you do it all over, you don't have the black outside line, which you wouldn't have in real life anyway. So just got a bit dark on this edge. Okay, I'm just filtering that back on. There we go. Right, so again, start with the light ones and then work your way down. All right, otherwise it becomes very messy quickly. Right, so you can do these fills yourself. That's what I'm getting at here. I'm going to drop a bit of shadow there actually, because it will show on that one, on the stem sort of part of it. So I'm just dropping my tones back bit by bit, okay, just so I get a full tonal range. There we go, perfect. Right now, in some ways that looks better than the first way of doing it, but I mean it's completely up to you how you do this. If you want to go back in there and put a white highlight now in there, you can. You might want to go around now and sort of dampen back all the black lines using the white or the blue that you originally used. Sorry, it's a bit too dark. Alright, so it's up to you how you do this. Completely up to you. But it's really just generating your own style. That's the point of this. Alright, so I'm just softening up the black lines I am to match the rest. Okay, that's not so bad. Okay, I'm just going to leave the last one. You can use your imagination. Okay, so that's the sort of design development of the chess piece. You can see they're all different, and this is going to get you more marks when you're designing. Okay, so have a go.